Welcome back to the Daily O, brought to you by Firo Pizza. I'm Sierra Williams. 8 people were killed last night in a shooting in Indianapolis. The shooting occurred at a FedEx ground facility near the Indianapolis airport. Witnesses say they heard as many as 10 gunshots during the shooting that lasted only a few minutes. Investigators confirmed this afternoon that the gunman, who took his own life at the scene, was a former FedEx facility employee. Indianapolis Police Chief Randall Taylor said he is heartbroken over the incident.
Our IMPD chaplains have been on the scene since early this morning, providing care and comfort and support to the families of the victims. My heart is broken over the lives that were lost. FedEx is a major employer in this city. If you ask around, there's numerous people, myself included, that had family and friends that work for this great company, and they have built bonds, whether they work there for a short time or a long time. I can only imagine what the victims, the surviving victims, and their coworkers are going through. But we're truly with them.
Police are continuing their investigation, but a motive for the shooting is still unknown. Peaceful protests have broken out in Minnesota following an officer-involved shooting. On Sunday, April 11th, in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, police officer Kim Potter fatally shot Daunte Wright during a stop for a traffic violation. Wright was pulled over for a traffic violation, and when police discovered he had an outstanding warrant. 2 officers attempted to arrest Wright, but a struggle occurred and Wright re-entered his vehicle. Officer Potter was heard on body cam footage shouting, quote, "Taser," end quote, before firing her weapon at Wright. Brooklyn Center Police Chief Tim Gannon stated, quote, "It is my belief that the officer had the intention to deploy their taser, but instead shot Mr. Wright with a single bullet," end quote. As Wright attempted to get away, his car struck another vehicle and Daunte Wright died at the scene due to his gunshot wound. In light of the murder trial of Derek Chauvin in Minneapolis, almost 10 miles away from another tragic police incident, peaceful protests erupted in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. These protests have continued since the incident, and the state has mobilized the National Guard after crowds gathered in front of the Brooklyn Center Police Department on Sunday evening. A curfew was ordered for the city through Monday morning. Kim Potter, the officer involved, has since resigned from the police force and was arrested. She has been released on bond and currently faces a second-degree manslaughter charge. The National World War I Memorial was unveiled today in Washington, D.C. Up until today, World War I was the only major war from the 20th century that did not have a national memorial in the nation's capital. The memorial is located on Pennsylvania Avenue and honors nearly 5 million soldiers who fought abroad and more than 100,000 who never made it back home. President Joe Biden delivered a message to Americans during the unveiling ceremony via video.
My fellow Americans, today we raise the flag over the memorial for the first time. Let's remember all that was sacrificed, all that was sanctified by a proud, brave Americans who served in World War I. In many ways, it was our first modern war, the first use of planes and tanks and new communications and many new dangers. We learned that what it meant to fight trench to trench. We saw the horrors of chemical weapons unleashed. And in some ways, the Great War shifted America's thinking about ourselves and redefined our place in the world. We grappled with what we stood for, what we're willing to fight and die for, to defend, principles of freedom and democracy. We confronted a terrible cost of war in an age of new and deadly technologies. But the commitment and valor of the American women and men who stepped up to serve, whether here at home or on the front lines in Europe, was the same spirit that has always defined American service members. More than 4 million served, 4 million Americans. Millions more supported the war effort at home. And 116,516 lost their lives. The Great War touches almost every American family at the time. For too long, that nationwide service has not been fully commemorated here in the nation's capital. This memorial finally will offer a chance for people to visit and reflect and to remember. More than 100 years has passed since World War I ended, but the legacy and courage of those doughboys sailing off to war and the values they fought to defend still live in our nation today. So thank you. May God bless you and protect our troops.
Visitors can now visit the memorial to pay their respects in Washington at any time. In local news, the Stillwater Ymca will be holding their second annual Prom It Forward event this Saturday. YMCA Director Jamie Overton started this event last year to give high schoolers a no-cost alternative to buying expensive prom dresses. Almost 200 gently used prom dresses have been donated in the past few weeks, as well as a limited number of shoes and jewelry. Starting at 4 p.m., any young women in Stillwater or surrounding areas can go and pick out a dress for their prom at no cost, on the condition that they sign an agreement promising to either return the dress after the prom so that someone else can wear it, or pay it forward by giving it to someone else who might need it. Masks will be required at the event and social distancing rules will be in practice, but there will still be fitting rooms and volunteers there to help with the dress picking process. It's Friday at the Daily O, and that means Dylan Walker is back with us for some entertainment news to catch us up on everything we missed this week.
Hi everyone, happy Friday. I hope you all are having a great week. I found out about a ton of exciting news that happened this past week, so let's get into it. The city of San Luis Obispo greatest mystery has just been put to rest. The murder of Kristen Smart has been under investigation for over 2 decades now. Kristen was allegedly taken one night after a party and was never seen since. However, this past Wednesday, April 14th, the San Luis Obispo District Attorney Dan Dow released that they have officially charged Paul Flores with first-degree murder. Paul's father, Ruben, has also been arrested for being an accessory to Smart's murder. In other news, the NFL has released who will be performing at its upcoming draft. The Kings of Leon will be performing live along with Ann Wilson of Hart. She will be performing the national anthem right before NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell announces the names of the league's newest players. Pop star Jennifer Lopez and ex-fiancé Alex Rodriguez have officially called off their engagement. The couple first announced that they were working through some things this past March, and with the two being separated in the midst of COVID, they really tried to prioritize their relationship. However, just yesterday, the two shared a joint statement with People reporters saying, quote, "We have realized we are better off as friends and look forward to remaining so. We wish the best for each other and one another's children. Thank you to everyone who has shown support," end quote. And to close out today's show with some shocking news, Bachelor Colton Underwood comes out as being gay. This past Wednesday, Underwood met with Today's Show Robin Roberts and publicly revealed his true sexuality and how after taking this past year to reflect over everything, he is now feeling, quote, happier and healthier, end quote. In that same emotional interview, Underwood talked about how he despised himself and how he would try to deny the truth and run away from himself. A ton of Bachelor contestants from his seasons and others have shared their support for him in his journey and wish him the best of luck. That's all the tea I have for you today, folks. Thank you so much for tuning into today's show. Have a great weekend and stay safe.
Thanks, Dylan. President Burns Hargis is celebrating his final days as OSU president. He and first cowgirl Ann Hargis are inviting all OSU students and faculty to their Hargis celebration next Friday. The event will be held on Library Lawn at 3 p.m. OSU cheer, pom, band, and of course Pistol Pete will be leading the celebration along with Hargis and other speakers. If you can't make the event, though, you can tune in, right here on O'Coley Media Group's YouTube, Roku TV, or Amazon Fire Stick channels. That's all we have today in news. Be sure to stick around after the break, though, for Josh's weather report. For the Daily O, I'm Sierra Williams. Have a good night.
And welcome back, folks. I'm Joshua Weisel here in the O'Coley Storm Studios, taking a quick look at the forecast. And before I get started, I have a weird thing in the forecast coming up on Tuesday, and that's snow in April. So we're going to be taking a quick look at that coming up in this forecast, so stick around. Starting with this afternoon and into the overnight, for the next couple of hours, a 60% chance for some drizzle, light showers, and a high of 54 for the next couple of hours. We'll quickly lower our temperatures into the lower 40s as we head overnight with mostly cloudy skies. And then for tomorrow morning, we'll be in the 40s to start off your day with partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies across the area. Moving on to tomorrow afternoon and evening, it is going to be a pleasant day. We're going to see mostly cloudy skies for most of the day, but we could see some peaks of sun at times, 58 for a high across the area, even in Oklahoma City and Tulsa. And then on Sunday, there we go, Sunday afternoon and evening, another pleasant day. We're going to be closer to our average high of 72 with a high of 61, mostly sunny skies, so it's going to be a beautiful end to the weekend come Sunday. I'm also going to show you my allergy index, and this is the first time this semester I've actually shown this, and all the allergens pollen-wise are at a 0. So because of all this rain that we've seen, that's some good news. All the allergens are low, but behind me, the air quality, like I said, this takes into consideration ozone and some other pollutants in the atmosphere. Still having a little bit of issues with those at a low, but it's nothing significant. Something to keep an eye on, but like I said, nothing bad, and we are thankful that that pollen was able to go away because of the rain that we've seen across the area. So here's the craziness that I talked about. Snow in late April, and you heard me right. So some of the models are saying a little bit more than that, but I'm thinking that those predictions amount-wise are going to be a little bit over the top. So I'm saying for the areas shaded in white, about a trace to about a ½ an inch is possible, and then overall in the pink area we could see about a ½ an inch to about an inch, at least for Stillwater. And as of now, temperatures don't look to be near freezing. So with that in mind, we could not see maybe the impacts that you'd see if this was in January or February. So as long as those temperatures stay just above freezing, we may not have any impacts with this. We may not have a lot of it sticking to the ground, but this is definitely something we'll have to be keeping up with. So check back on Monday. I'll have an update with this. But like I said, the potential for snow come Tuesday, so just keep that in mind. Late Tuesday into early Wednesday. So here's a look at my extended forecast. 100% chance for rain. All of us have seen rain across the region today, so that was true for today. We're going to see beautiful conditions, at least through Monday. Another system lowers our temperatures from the 70s into the 50s with the chance of snow come Wednesday. I'm going to step out of the way real quick. We do have a chance for showers and storms once again Thursday and Friday. Beautiful conditions next week with sunny skies. Temperatures in the 70s. So that's a look at my 10-day forecast. Make sure you tune in on Monday to see an update for the snow forecast. But in the meantime, check back for sports coming up right after this.
Welcome back to The Daily O. I'm Kristen Melton, ready to get you caught up on everything sports as we head into this weekend. First up, this past Wednesday, the Oklahoma State baseball team was tied at 1 against Oral Roberts when Mother Nature eventually won the game. The game was postponed due to bad rain. They ruled it as a halted game and by rule called it a no contest. The weather in Stillwater has continued to be drab, but the Pokes are traveling to Fort Worth tonight for a matchup against the TCU Horned Frogs at 6:30. Let's hope that the weather there holds up and we can see some baseball. But in some good news for the team, OSU's own two-way standout Justin Campbell is just one of 45 players announced as a member of the USA Baseball 2020-2021 Golden Spikes Mid-Season Awards watch list. Campbell's been doing well in both pitching and swinging from home plate as he is batting .265 and on the mound is 4-0 and is now ranked nationally 13th in ERA. The only other player to win the Golden Spikes award is the great Robin Ventura all the way back in 1988. As for softball, the Cowgirls are still reeling from their sweep of Texas Tech last weekend, and they will have to wait another day as tonight's game was moved to tomorrow and will be played in a doubleheader with Game 2 right here in Stillwater. The Wnba Draft was last night, and there were plenty of Big 12 representation in the draft class. Most importantly, OSU's own Natasha Mack was selected by the Chicago Sky with the 16th pick. Mack expected to be selected in the first round, but had to wait just a little bit longer. Mack and her close friends and family were huddled on the Angelina College basketball court, Mack's former college, where she got the chance to showcase her skills, being named the NGCAA Player of the Year. So when her ultimate dream was being realized, she wanted to be right where it all started.
It meant a lot, I'm just glad the team wanted me and believed in me, so it's time to get to work now. Honestly, it's not the first time I've slept on. I've been slept on since I came to AC, and so that's something that's always going to happen. I always got to fight and work harder. I just got to work harder each day. Each day is a new opportunity, so I have to work to show them I belong there. I'm meant to be there.
Mac now joins a Chicago Sky team that has plenty of experience with the likes of veteran Courtney Vandersloot and former MVP power forward Candace Parker. Talk about learning from the best. The Dallas Wings had the first selection and chose Charlie Collier from Texas as the first overall pick after a dominant season for the Longhorns. Then the Wings, who also held the second overall selection, chose Finland's Awak Kuie. It's the first time in league history that a team has had control of the first 2 picks in the draft. Congrats to all those mentioned and everyone who was drafted last night. A few weeks ago, we had covered former Spurs forward LaMarcus Aldridge being released, wanting to compete for an NBA championship this season. After signing with the Brooklyn Nets for 2 weeks, Aldridge has announced Thursday morning that he is retiring from the NBA due to health complications, citing having an irregular heartbeat. In his recent statement, Aldridge stated, quote, "For 15 years I've put basketball first, and now it's time to put my health and family first," end quote. This isn't the first time Aldridge has had heart issues, as in 2007, Aldridge was diagnosed with Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome, which is an extra electrical pathway between your heart's upper and lower chambers that causes a rapid heartbeat, according to the Mayo Clinic. In a statement released by Brooklyn Mets general manager Sean Marks, Marks supported the choice of retirement, stating that, quote, "We know this was not an easy decision for him, but after careful consideration and consultation with medical experts, he made the best decision for him, his family, and for his life after basketball," end quote. In Aldridge's 5 games played for the Nets, Aldridge had averaged around 13 points and 5 rebounds per game, as the Nets went 3-2 throughout that stretch. Aldridge isn't the only NBA player to retire mid-season due to health scares. In 2016, Miami Heat forward Chris Bosh put his NBA career on hold after being informed he has blood clots throughout his lungs. While Bosh tried to make an attempt to come back in the NBA in 2019, the former 11-time All-Star had announced his retirement. While this is a scary time for Aldridge's health, we wish him the best in his future endeavors. The Major League Soccer season is about to get underway starting tomorrow, and no one is more excited than the league's newest expansion team's co-owner, actor Matthew McConaughey. McConaughey sat down to talk about his love for soccer, his new Major League Soccer club, Austin FC, and how you can't write a great drama better than live sports. Don Riddle has the story.
Austin FC is going to be the very first team that represents the city of Austin. This is our Austinites' first chance to root for our city. We've always had the University of Texas, Longhorns, Hook 'em, where I went to school. And that's always been the only game in town. We've never had a professional team. We now, as I said, have a place to go and gather, to have 20,000 strong on any given night, root for our team. And like I said, that snapshot from above the stadium on any given night, Pat, should look like the best and the truest of Austin, Texas.
Now, Matthew, I believe one of the first lines you ever uttered to a movie camera was, all right, all right, all right. I hope I've said that.
All right.
Dazed and confused, nearly 30 years ago. If somebody had told you then that in 3 decades' time, you'd be the co-owner of a soccer team and the fans would be chanting that line, what would you have said?
I would have said, cool. No, I wouldn't have foreseen this. You know, I mean, look at the things, as I said, that happened to me along the way. I married a Brazilian woman. Soccer was injected into my blood more so even then. My children, as we travel the world, have found and loved the game of soccer, and because it's the one game they can play wherever in the city, in the country, from New York to Timbuktu. So it's become a game that is, there's more stuff. I'm looking out the yard. I've got 2 goals. I got to see 9 soccer balls. And there's my son trying to do reverse kicks into the goal with himself. So, yeah, my kids are doing it, so I'm a part of it. It makes a lot of sense now, but it wouldn't have made sense then.
You're considering, I've read, running for the governor of Texas. And so I wonder how you feel about athletes and coaches really taking a stand for social justice and racial equality, and also whole leagues like Major League Baseball taking a stand, as we've just seen in the case of Georgia. What do you think? Is there a place for sport and politics to mix like that?
My opinion is you're not defined by being an athlete. I'm not that'd be like you or someone else saying, well, you, Matthew, you shouldn't consider anything political because you're an actor and a storyteller. That's a vocation that I've taken. A person who, athletes shouldn't be confined to, oh, we're just in sports, we shouldn't get in that world. Because politics is an umbrella that has to do with the machinations of all businesses, of all vocations. Okay, so to say that if you're an athlete, you cannot join in on the license of politics makes no sense.
Compare and contrast the scripted form of storytelling that you've been involved in for your whole career versus the spontaneous forms of narrative that we see with sport. How would you compare the two? Okay.
One of the greatest sporting events I've ever seen in my life was the 2005 National Championship, University of Texas versus the USC Trojans. It was an incredible sporting event. One of those ones that had the ebbs and the flows, one of those ones where the loser had no excuse. But any sporting fan can watch that game and say, afterwards, I've never seen a better drama. If you wrote that story in a Hollywood script, we would say, no, it couldn't happen that way. It could be my son's junior soccer game on a Saturday morning that turns out to be an epic battle that there was a goal scored and it was 8-7 at the end, and you look, man, that was incredibly well played. The ebbs and flows. I just thought I was coming to a junior soccer match. So you never know when you're going to see great drama on a pitch. So to see it live and unfold, it's what I love about sport.
Again, the MLS season begins tomorrow, a little over 2 weeks past the original April 3rd start date. Austin FC will begin life in the league by traveling to California to take on LAFC. That's all we have for our show today. Make sure to follow us on social media at @TheDailyO_TV. You can also watch our show on Amazon Fire Stick, Apple TV, Roku, and on Suddenlink Channel 112. Have a good weekend, and we will see you back here on Monday. For The Daily O, I'm Kristen Melton.
The Daily O is brought to you by Firo's Fire-Kissed Pizza.
Oh, there you go. Superstar.
The end of the practice is when we do all of our, intensity drills.
Okay.
She was going at it.
Stop. If we get them to Detroit by, let's say Monday the 15th. Time's right there. There we go. Yeah. Just, you can't.
Don't want to talk about it.
When you see the water tower, you're gonna make a right.
If we win this, we have one way to get to the playoffs.
I know.